Hi. So welcome to this little performer talk on for the Multicultural Arts Exchange. With me today, I have Maci Miller. She is an accomplished jazz singer and songwriter from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. She has performed all over the world and has released 4 albums, including her latest, Round Midnight, a jazz vocal and guitar album with David Rorick. And now she's bringing her soulful voice to the Multicultural Arts Exchange for an upcoming live concert. Maci, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. And yeah, so excited for the performance coming up next week. It's going to be a wonderful place to perform in, and I've got a wonderful pianist, Tim Bray, joining me. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that does sound wonderful. I'm sure we'll get to talk about that a little bit later in the video. But just to start off with, the world of music is very wide and vast, especially for singers. There's a million genres out there. So what drew you to jazz singing in the first place?
Actually, when I started, I did, a little cabaret, a little musical theater. I was always drawn to the 40s. I have this love affair with the 40s, old movies, old music, fashion. So I think that kind of piqued my interest. And then I really heard like some Ella Fitzgerald, and just the more I researched jazz and not researched, just listened, and I really enjoyed it. And one day I'm driving home from a really long gig in down in, I think it was Wildwood maybe, and I was screaming my head off singing, pop and R&B and funk. Most of my early bands that I was in was funk, R&B, and then just cover bands. And I just would always listen to jazz on the way home, and it would just bring me so much joy. And then I was like, why don't I do this? So I listened and I learned, and that became my favorite kind of music. So I like a variety of music, but jazz is definitely my favorite.
Oh yeah, if you do what you love, as they say, you never work a day in your life.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And especially right now, it's a gift when I have the opportunity to sing, because things have changed so much. So yeah, cool.
Yeah. And I know you sing a lot of jazz standards, but I also know that you do original music, like your whole album, A Very Good Night. So what's your composing process like?
Well, each album was a little different. And thank you. Yeah, my first album, A Very Good Night, was in a period when I was really just so into all things big band. Again, that kind of 40s and 50s swing. And I wanted to do an album that felt like in the vein of the old big band era, but with all new material. And it just, I don't know, each song just came to me in a different way. I don't play an instrument, although I am finally learning music, something I've been wanting and needing to do, and I have the time now. So, but going back to that album in particular, I think of lyrics and melody at the same time. I rarely write one without another. If an idea for a song comes into my head, I immediately start humming or tapping and thinking about it, and either, recording it into my phone memo, or back then I'd be just writing furiously and singing it over and over again until it was in there and it started taking shape. And then I would work with someone to collaborate on writing the charts out for me. And in the case of that album, writing the whole big band charts. So yeah, so that was a good one. And my newest one, Around Midnight, was just a totally different process entirely, because I wasn't writing it. It was just a collaboration of feeling and vibing and just jamming together. And it started just having these wonderful friendship, sharing conversation type of thing with someone I greatly admire, David O'Rourke, a fantastic guitarist. And it just sort of grew organically, and we're like, we should just record it live, just like we're doing here, sitting in your living room, dining room actually, just hey, I like this song, let's do this song, let's try it. And it just felt good, and we went with it. And so yeah, each recording and each writing session for me has always been unique in its own sort of thing. But to answer your question, I pretty much come up with the lyrics and melody and then collaborate with some musicians.
Yeah. So if it sounds like collaboration is like a really big part of your process, could you speak to like, so what is that process like? Like what kind of influence does your collaborative partners have on you if you're sort of mending, you know, combining lyrics and music together?
Again, each project was different. When I went into A Very Good Night, I had a very clear thought on a clear direction of where I wanted it to go. So I pretty much had it all figured out where I wanted to hear a certain kind of sound in this. However, getting it on paper so that musicians could come and do it, that was out of my wheelhouse. So I worked with first somebody to write the charts for it. And then we went from there to finding some amazing players. I had some great guys on that project. And I had somebody down in Atlantic City write me the big band charts. And then the band would come in and they just played it down. They just read it down and did it in like 2 takes. It was free. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, this is good. So yeah, so that's how, and I've written with other people where they might have a melody and I listen to it and it makes me feel like a particular way. And so I'll write lyrics to it. I've written that way. And sometimes I've sat in a room where we both have an idea and it's just written on the spot where I'll sing a little bit and that'll inspire somebody to play something and then that'll inspire me and it grows that way. There's not one clear-cut way that I've worked.
Yeah. You know, sometimes that's the best. It sounds like you've gotten so many different experiences and sounds, so that's amazing.
Sure, for sure. And I've worked with a lot of really wonderful people that I've learned and grown from the collaboration, so it's been great all around.
Yeah. So once you've gotten out to perform, like I've read that, you know, you've performed so many different types of places in cafes and casinos and clubs and even in Thailand and recently your own backyard. Have you had like a really favorite or really memorable place that you've performed?
Oh, so many. Well, I think the short answer is where the great musicians are. Those are always my favorite places. Whether that's my backyard or whether that's across the world. I'd say Thailand, that experience there, I was going every winter for a few years, 3 years in a row, and I'd spend a couple months as an in-residence singer at this a beautiful hotel at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. And they had a really kind of world famous, or at least probably the most famous or well-known jazz club inside the hotel. So yeah, I got there and thought, oh my gosh, you're over your head, you're in over your head. And yet after a couple months, it's just woof. Actually, after the first week of adjusting time zones and you know, getting to know the band and them getting to know me, and yeah, it was just a really great experience. I worked with some incredible musicians. I learned a lot. There were a lot of people from all over the globe coming in and out of there. So it was a real cool place. And jazz is a really big thing there, and they really, really dig it. And so you could hear a pin drop a lot of times when you're singing, and people couldn't actually even come in the door in the middle of a song. It's the etiquette that you wait at the door, even if you're a celebrity, which there were. You had to wait at the door to come in well after I finished the song. So I'm standing there like there's Hugh Grant in the doorway because he was filming something and he's waiting till my song is over, and I was like, okay, is that really happening? So it was a cool experience. But to be honest, it doesn't matter where I'm performing. Some places are fancier than others. Some pay better than others. Like I said earlier, at this point, I'm just happy to sing and share the music because I really enjoy doing it. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the answer. All of it. All of it.
Well, honestly, that's the best answer. And speaking of that sort of joy and happiness that performing brings you, I recently watched the recording of your live concert live at the farmhouse from
Yeah.
your backyard. And I remember that you mentioned saying we need to have music, live music, any way we can right now. To you, what is the value of live music, especially during this time where like it has to be online? Like it isn't like, you know, what it was back before all of this craziness.
Yeah. I I'm creative. I need to create, and I think I speak for a lot of people right now that that music is healing. It heals. Um, it heals myself. It helps me go through whatever is going in life. So like having a bad day, world shuts down, go to music, and obviously family, friends, all those things that bring us joy. But it's music's one of those things that's healing for us as a performer, as musicians. I think would tell you the same thing. But it also heals the listener because it helps us escape for a while. It helps us feel good, and it helps us, I don't know, reminisce sometimes. Maybe, they could relate to a song, a love song, a hard song, a sad song, a joyful song, whatever. So it's connecting. And I think we need connection right now, and yeah, we need connection right now. It's just so crazy times.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think we're all feeling that right now, trying to get connection any way we can. And so speaking of online music, we mentioned earlier that you have a concert coming up with Multicultural Arts Exchange on August 7th, Jazz at Sunset. Can you tell us how that came to be or give us any sneak peeks about what to expect?
Well, let me start with how that happened. So,
Mhm.
Michael Sorge actually reached out to me long, like, I don't know, January, February, maybe, when we had a date for myself and a pianist to come in and do something there at the Glen Foerd estate for an audience.
Mhm.
Not sure at that time if it was indoor or outdoor, but we had planned to do that. I had it booked, and then of course everything shut down, so off the that was off the grid there. But so we're all adjusting and going with the times. If we can't do it
Mhm.
this way, the music's going to find a way. We're going to do it this way. And
Yeah.
so he got back with me again and said, what about this? And would you like to do a live streaming? And I said, absolutely. That was even before I saw the room. When I saw the room at rehearsal the other day, I was quite delighted. It's really pretty. The sound is fantastic, and
Mhm.
piano sounded gorgeous. And of course, Tim playing it. You're all going to be in for a nice treat.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, and break a leg at the upcoming concert.
Thank you so much.